Well, how's it going? A while back I kind of did a little review for a friend. His name's Tom. About this little Sony AM/FM shortwave radio. It's kind of a little portable. It's not really a pocket radio unless you got a really big pocket. And typically when he does kind of reviews on radios, he does a review. He has some criteria about the look, the feel, and kind of that, and he scores it. And then he kind of gives it an overall score. He also doesn't have cars racing up and down the street. Nice. Oh well, that's the way it is. We're kind of out here on the leading edge of a little storm. I thought sometimes when the storms come through here, it stirs up the short wave. I don't know why. It shouldn't. And you can get some interesting catches. I don't know if today will be an exception or not. Anyway, I was going to compare this Radio Shack unit to, this is a Sony ICF SW600 GR. This isn't exactly what I'd planned on doing for a reception report. Tom does reception reports after he kind of scores the radios. But for the time being, it's as good as it's going to get. And I've got it. If you watched that other video, you saw that what I was really thinking about doing. I need to do a little more research, and actually I'm going to have to do some experiments and see if my plans really work. What I've done here, basically, I'm just going to compare the radios just kind of straight across the bands on some areas and see what we get. The first thing I was going to do was just look at AM, and I've played with this radio quite a bit. Just right off the bat, one thing I've noticed is it doesn't seem to do terribly well with the onboard antenna, but an external antenna, I think it does pretty good. I don't understand why. I don't know, maybe it's something in the way or something. This is just AM, just a local AM station. And this one's pretty far away, and there's a lot of storm, lightning and stuff. I don't know. I can't tell if the wind is bothering the camera or not. It's not really intelligible. The Sony's a little bit better, but not much. There's not a lot of difference. So we go up to, let's see here. This is 10 megahertz even. See what we can get on WWV. It hears the carrier, but the audio is pretty much unintelligible. How about we turn it up? So here you can hear the Sony pretty much kicked its butt. And we can try, let's try 5 megahertz just for a laugh. There's the Sony on 5 megahertz. There's a little noise, but you could hear what's going on. It's pretty unintelligible. Let's try it. I was going to say I thought I had 2.5. I can enter it in here. 2.5. Neither the Sony or the Radio Shack can hear anything on 2.5. And just for fun, we'll try 15. This is kind of the wrong time of day for this. And we'll try 15 over here on the Sony. Oh. So far, the Radio Shack isn't doing very well. But I have heard plenty of shortwave stuff on this. It just appears to not, right off the bat, not be as sensitive as the Radio Shack is. Let's try 20 megahertz. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. doing so hot. What I've done here for this test, I've made sure both radios have brand new batteries, and they're relatively close together, and I've made sure that the antennas aren't really interfering, although it's possible. And I've got them relatively close together. Well, I don't think we're going to hear anything on 25 megahertz. I have yet to hear anything on 25 megahertz for WWB. I don't even know if they're still doing that test anymore. Well, let's try around 6 megahertz, see if there's any activity. One of the things I've noticed about the Radio Shack is we have several blowtorch AM and FM radio stations here in town. They're pretty high powered. The Radio Shack does not seem to reject those very well. The Sony does, so you can kind of hear them creeping in. So another, not really a downer, you know, it's a little bit of kind of an unusual circumstance. Now if you're in a crowded metro area, yeah, not so good. But out in the country, it's a different story. So it's just the environment a little bit. You can't have everything. See if we could hear any amateur radio, maybe. Thought I heard a peep there. That's one thing I did notice about this radio. I don't know what it is. You cover the face, and there's kind of a RF type noise, a buzzing noise that appears in the speaker. But as long as you don't cover it, it's fine. So I assume it's something to do with the scanning of the displays. Pretty quiet. What that is. I kind of jacked up. I think they had field day yesterday. There probably would have been tons of amateurs to listen to it a day ago. Really hear anything other than the FM stations cramming in there now. Kind of on the edge of the broadcast band. I thought we'd hear something. Oh, let's try something else here. Not doing so good here. See, there's a station right there. That's correct. 9370. I don't know where that's at. It's 9.370 kilohertz, and we're at about, let me check here. We're about 1:04 UTC, technically Monday. So I don't know, let's see what else we can find. And yes, it's getting close to the 4th of July. So there might be something there. Might be a birdie. Okay, let's just keep going. You can hear WWV, but it's really faint. I doubt you can hear it on the camera. Let's try 11 megahertz. Well, let's flip this coin over. Let's try little ham activity there. Pretty faint.
Chicken sandwiches tonight. I didn't cook. We cooked. We just, it's just a late back Sunday evening.
Well, there's a noticeable difference, but you can't hear him. There's somebody else. You can hear him here on the Sony, not on the Radio Shack. No, barely. He's pretty much in the noise there, but you can hear him and understand him. Oh, there's a guy. these the deeper voice. Well, overall, like I said, it's a pretty, I don't know, it's a comparison. It really isn't a reception report in my opinion, but that's fine. Overall, I would say that this is a mediocre radio as far as reception. Now, that being said, that is with the present equipment here. I have noticed that this radio does pretty well with my loop antenna. It's a little portable hoop type antenna that's powered. It has a little preamp in it. And I've also noticed it does a little bit better with a long wire that has, you know, plugged into the jack on the side. So I'm not quite sure what to make of that. Maybe the front end isn't as sensitive, or maybe it isn't as quiet as the Sony. Now, this is a several-year-old Sony. This isn't a current production machine, so we're kind of comparing apples and oranges. Still, I think for the money, I thought this is still a pretty good radio. The Sony was $150. This was about, if I remember, it was about like $60, and I picked it up here in town. The Sony I had to wait to pick up, but again, it's been several years. It doesn't mean the Radio Shack is a bad radio, it just means it's different, in my opinion. Like I said, I'd say it's a mediocre shortwave. I've compared it to some of my other shortwaves and some of my more, what do I say, more sketchy shortwaves. And I would say it's probably similar. The Sony is a pretty much a kind of what I consider one of my more favorite portables. I'm not a big fan of portables, but it is a very good performer. So we're kind of comparing apples and oranges here a little bit, but that again is my opinion. And like you heard on the one station, it doesn't stop you from receiving shortwave. I'm not sure where that station was from. You could look it up quick enough. The AM part of this, just the broadcast AM part of this, does do exceptionally well. I think it does as well as the Sony does. We've got a number of small, little mom and pop 500 watt, 1000 watt little rural, you know, serving a rural community AM transmitters around here. I hear a lot of them on this thing. The FM does work exceptionally well too. So, you know, if you want a really great radio that hears through walls, spend a couple $100. But if you wanted to find out if you were interested in shortwave radio, or just wanted something to kind of that would be better than the Kachibo or one of those names that you can't pronounce, you know, the Sun Moon or the Black Cat brand or whatever, you know, there's a lot of those. This would be a step up. Actually, this is a rebranded radio that's mentioned in Tom's review. If you go to his website, or excuse me, his YouTube channel, you can see that review. I still think for the money it's a pretty good machine. It, you know, if it was a better machine, they'd want more money for it, right? I don't know, like a lot of things in life, you get what you pay for. So if you want something really great, save your pennies, maybe, you know, buy something like the Sony. But if you're on a budget and you're not sure if you want to get involved in shortwave radio, I still think the little Radio Shack machine is a good machine. I tell you one thing, it's a lot easier on batteries than that Sony is. That Sony's kind of a power hog. So there you go. There's what I kind of got for you. I plan on doing a little more intensive research and trying to develop a more standardized test for this. It doesn't mean that Tom's test is an unfair test. It just isn't. It isn't information that I'm looking for, which doesn't mean it's not useful information. It just means I'm kind of a fusspot about this stuff. When you have more than a couple shortwave radios, you know, you're kind of picking at nits. So there you go. Anyway, have a groovy day. Tell Tom hi. Leave him a plus or a thumbs up. There you go. A plus. Take it easy.